Good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Tauseef Mohsin, Associate Professor and H.O.D of English, Koshi College, Khagadia. Today I am going to discuss a new topic. The title of the topic is Sounds of English, an International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA. As we know that English is a language of unique qualities. It has some peculiar traits that differentiates it from most of the languages spoken across the globe. Elsewhere, in other languages, we may find there is affinity. There is some kind of similarity between what is spoken and what is written. Say, for example, Hindi word or a word from any other Indian languages, like kalam. You have three sounds, and all these sounds come together in combination represents a word. And sound kolo mokalam does not go against or invalidates the latter. However, this is not so with English language. There is a huge difference between what is spoken and what is written. Orthographic representation does not necessarily represent the verbal aspect of the language. In English, the 26 alphabets. However, the sounds, they outnumber the alphabet. They are 44 in number. There is no one-to-one correspondence between a letter and a sound of English language. Sometimes more than one letters represent a sound. There are innumerable instances that we experience while studying English words. We find a sound at the same time is variously represented. Words such as station. No, it is spoken as a station. And how do we write? We write it as statue. There's another word, fish. We write SH. Two letters are there. And they do not follow what is there in a station. TION are there. Three letters. TION. Three letters are there. But in fish, you have two letters and they are different. Altogether different letters. SH. And SH together in combination with one another gives us a sound of sh. Likewise, you have conscience. SC. Sugar. Sir. So, lot of differences are there so far as letters are concerned, and they represent one sound, that is sh. Likewise, you have in export, you have kasa. Two sounds are there, and how it is written? X is written, and X does not have one sound. It represents two sounds, ka and sa. Similarly, you have word like examination. You write examination, examinating, nation, examination. Gaza together represent X. So, without knowing the sounds, we cannot communicate English as it is expected of us while we convey our idea to someone else. Out of 44 sounds, there are 24 consonants and the rest 20 are vowels. So altogether there are 44 in number. 44 in number. And every student of English should at least know about these things, about sounds, consonants, vowels, and how we do not have one-to-one correspondence between sound and the letter of the language, letters of the language. That's all. Now, in at this point in time, while discussing the sounds, it is pertinent to divide the topic into two parts. First is consonant sound, and the second one is vowel sound. Therein lies a difference between a consonant sound and a vowel sound. In the production of a consonant sound, the air, when it is released, encounters some kind of stricture. There is some obstacle over there, and the air is not released freely. But while we articulate a vowel sound, in articulating a vowel sound, there is no stricture, there is no obstacle of any kind. It is not possible for us to discuss everything in one go. Therefore, I have decided to focus at this point in time on consonants. Now, as I have discussed earlier as well, that consonant is a sound of English in the production of which there occurs some stricture, there is some obstacle and hindrance. The air is not released through our oral cavity or nasal cavity freely. Focus on classification of consonants. Now, in the production of a consonant sound, there are as many as 5 factors that affect the articulation of a certain consonant, and on the basis of these factors, a consonant sound particularly is classified as plosive, affricate, fricative, lateral sound, nasals, and semi-vowel or approximate. Pulmonic aggressive air stream. At the time of production of a consonant sound, there is compression from our lungs that propels the air to go through our oral cavity or nasal cavity. Now, at that point in time, when air is released, how is it released? Is it released all of a sudden, slowly, or gradually, or there is an audible friction, there is some kind of hissing sound, there is a frictionless continuant, or what it is? It is on the basis of the release of the air at the time of the articulation of a certain consonant sound. Now, on the basis of that, our sound is plosive or affricate or fricative or nasal, lateral or semi-vowel. Then the second factor is soft palate, the position of soft palate. Now, there are two kinds of sounds. One is nasal sound, and the second one is the sound which is produced through our oral cavity, right? Now, position of our soft palate. Now, if the soft palate at the time of the production of a consonant sound, if our soft palate is raised, the passage that goes through our nasal cavity is blocked altogether, and the passage of the oral cavity is opened so as to let the air pass through our mouth. Now, there is another instance of lowering of soft palate. Soft palate is lowered when a nasal sound is intended to be produced. When our soft palate is lowered, the passage of our oral cavity is blocked, is shut down, and the passage of our nasal cavity is opened up so that the air should get released through our nasal cavity. So, two kinds of sounds are produced because of the lowering of our soft palate or because of the raising of soft palate. Third one is vocal cords, the status of vocal cords at the time of the production of a consonant sound. Now, there are two vocal cords which are there at the time of phonation when we go for articulation of a particular sound. Now, our vocal cords are held wide apart when we produce a voiceless consonant. When they are held wide apart, they do not vibrate, and because of that, these two vocal cords getting separated from one another, there does not occur any vibration. The glottis is very much, space for glottis is very much visible there. Glottis, when our vocal cords are held wide apart, there occurs a space for glottis to expand. Now, there is another instance wherein we notice our vocal cords are held together in the production of a certain consonant. When it so happens, there occurs a vibration. When the vibration occurs, we produce a voice sound. Voice sound is produced. A voice sound is produced. All the vowels are voice sounds. All the vowels that we produce, all of them are voice sounds. Now, so far as consonants are concerned, there we may notice as many as 9 voiceless consonants, and the rest are voiced consonants. So 9 voiceless consonants are there in English, and the rest are voiced. No. Articulators, active articulators and passive articulators. In the production of any sound, our vocal organs take part, they participate. Some of them are active articulators and some of them are passive articulators. Now say for example, when we say t, d, tip of our tongue is an active articulator. Whereas the alveolar ridge, the area just adjacent to our upper teeth, is a passive articulator. Likewise, we have pa, ba. We may notice the lower lip is an active articulator, whereas the upper lip is a passive articulator. So, active articulators and the passive articulators, they play their respective role in the production of a particular sound, especially if the sound happens to be a consonant sound. Finally, you have manner of articulation. Consonant. The first consonant under this category of consonants is plosives. Now, plosives, they are 6 in number. In the production of plosives, air is air that comes from our lungs. When it rushes towards our oral cavity, it encounters blockade, and because of blockade, air is held up for some times, and then the air is released all of a sudden, and when it is released, an explosion is heard. We hear an explosion when air is released. So this is common to all the plosives, and because of explosion, all these sounds under this category are referred as plosive consonants. Now plosives are 3 kinds. First is bilabial, alveolar, and then velar. Bilabial plosives. In bilabial plosives, there are 2 articulators. One is lower lip, the other one is upper lip. And both the lips come closer to each other to shut the air passage, which is meant for the air to pass through. Air is held up for some times. However, as soon as our lips get separated from one another, the air rushes towards the opening of the mouth, and it is released, the air is released all of a sudden in a huff, as a result of which, in the production of bilabial plosives, we hear a plosive sound. So, ba, ba, pa. Now, ba, pa, ba is voice sound. In the articulation of ba, our vocal cords are held together. They come closer to each other. And when they come closer to each other, glottis get contracted. And because of coming closure of vocal cords, there occurs vibration. When vibration occurs, b, our finger gets displaced at the time of the release of the air. So this b, there is an explosion, and at the same time there is a vibration. So this is, b is voiced bilabial plosive consonant. Now in production of p, what happens? Our vocal cords are held wide apart. They do not come closer to each other. When they do not come closer to each other, no explosion occurs. So p. Just put your finger on your Adam's apple. You may notice there is no displacement at the time of articulation of p sound. So it is voiceless. No vibration. So p is voiceless bilabial plosive consonant. Bi means two, labial means lips. Our lips are the articulators. One is our lower lip is active articulator, whereas the upper lip is a passive articulator. Now second sound is, the second plosive is alveolar plosive. Now in the production of alveolar plosive, our tip of our tongue goes up and reaches to the teeth ridge, that is alveolar ridge, just the area which is just adjacent to our upper tip. So our tip of tongue touches the area which is adjacent to our upper tip, that is alveolar ridge. So we have two sounds under this category. One is d, another one is ta. Da is voiced, whereas ta is voiceless. Now, when we write the symbol of it, we should not write like this. It should be written like this, and ta should not be written like this. It should be written like t. Alveolar, and finally velar plosive. In the production of velar plosive, velar plosive, our back of our tongue reaches velar ridge of our hard palate. Velar ridge, almost it is there at our soft palate. So our back of our tongue goes up and reaches the velar ridge of our oral cavity, and it so happens that the air passage is completely closed down. It is shut up, and the air is held up for some times, and then it is released in a huff, as a result of which we hear an explosion. So ga is voiced, whereas ka is voiceless, and it is because of the positioning of our vocal cords. When vocal cords are held together, we hear a vibration, and it happens there in the production of ga, and in the production of ka, our vocal cords are held wide apart. So ka is voiceless. Ga, ka. So altogether there are 6 plosives. Next is affricates. There are 2 in number. And the manner of articulation that it goes in the production of affricates is, there is a compression from our lungs, and the air that comes from the lungs is held up for some time because of the blockade of our oral cavity. And what happens in the production of this plateau alveolar affricate, what happens? the blade of our tongue goes up and reaches as far as to the area which is the alveolar, plateau-alveolar ridge of our oral cavity, which lies in between alveolar ridge and the hard palate of our oral cavity. So air is released, air is held up in the production of these two sounds. Air is held up for some times and then it is released slowly, unlike plosive where we find the air rushes towards our mouth and goes out with an explosion. So there are two sounds, cha and ja. Cha is phonetically represented with this symbol, cha. Cha is there, which is voiceless. Our vocal cords are held wide apart, whereas in the production of ja, our vocal cords come closer to each other so that it may vibrate. So cha, ja and cha are fricatives. These two sounds are there. Next, third is the fricatives. Now in fricatives, we may notice there is a narrowing down of air passage, and then we may notice the air is released continuously. When air is released continuously, we hear a hissing sound. So this is the characteristics of fricative sounds. Now let us start with dental fricative consonant. In dental fricative consonant, our tip of our tongue goes up and reaches to the upper teeth, very near to the upper teeth. But the air passage is not closed altogether. There is still some passage. So there is a narrowing down of air passage to let the air pass through our oral cavity, and it goes out. It is released, and this is how this dental fricative sound is produced. Now under this category we have two sounds. One is voiced, other one is voiceless. So there is a vibration, and then there is another sound. There is no vibration. The tip of our tongue goes up and reaches very nearer to our upper teeth. So think, theory, thought. This is there. Voiceless. So dental, voiceless, dental fricative consonant. Other one is that, there. So this is voice sounds. In the production of it, there is a vibration because of our vocal cords, which are held wide apart. So dental fricative. Another sound, another set of sounds is labiodental fricative. Labiodental fricative. Our lower lip, labiodental, goes up and reaches as far as to our upper teeth, labiodental. But the air passage is not shut. There is still some space for the air to go through continuously. So there are two sounds of this category. They are and is voiceless dental fricative, labiodental fricative. So lower lip goes up and it is voiceless because of our vocal cords, which do not come closer to each other, and so there is no vibration in it. Now second one is in the production of there is a vibration because of our vocal cords getting closed to each other. So labiodental and This one is also labiodental. With voiced labiodental fricative consonant, whereas is voiceless labiodental fricative. Another fricative is another set of sounds that we need to discuss is alveolar fricative consonant. There are two alveolar fricatives. They are z and s. Now, so you have this sound z. Z is voiced, whereas sa is voiceless. Z, z, z. Now, sa, za are alveolar fricatives. Now, in the production of sa and za, tip of our tongue goes up and reaches as far as to our alveolar ridge, the area just adjacent to our upper tip. So, tip of our tongue goes up and comes very close to our alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. S, s, z. Sa is voiceless, whereas z is voiced. Next is plateau alveolar fricatives. In the production of these two sounds, we may notice sh, 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 sh. Our tongue goes up and comes very close to plateau alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. So we have two sounds under this category. One is voiced, other one is voiceless. Je, pleasure, pleasure, treasure, decision, barrage. So these are the words that we pronounce. We do not have any sound as such very similar to this sound. And as a result of which, we face problem in the production of this sound, as well as in another sound we have the problem, especially with regard to voiced alveolar fricative. Same is the problem that we do face in the articulation of voiced plateau alveolar fricative. Now, there is no substitute of this sound and this sound. So what happens in the production of these two sounds? Now, in je, our tongue goes up and reaches plateau, reaches to the area wherein lies the plateau alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. So you have je, and for our convenience we have this je, and we have put two dot here, and here we have put one dot for alveolar, voiced alveolar fricative sound for our convenience, so that we may understand while speaking these two sounds. So je, sh, sh. This is the symbol for sh, sh, sh sound. Sh, sh. This is voiceless, and this is voiced. J, 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 sh, sh, sh. Finally, we have h. H is glottal. Is a glottal fricative. Now, in the production of glottal fricative, two vocal cords take part, and while they take part, this h sound is produced. H phoneme is produced. Your sound is nasals. They are 3 in number. Now, in the production of nasals, our short palate is lowered so that the passage of our oral cavity should get closed altogether, and then the air is to be released through nasal cavity. Nasal cavity is opened up for the air to pass through in the production of nasal sound. Now all the nasal sounds are voice sound. Now, there are three nasal sounds, and So three nasals are there. Is bilabial. Both our lips are shut altogether. Then you have our tip of our tongue goes up and reaches to our, you see, teeth ridge. That is alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. So you have and finally our back of our tongue goes up and reaches to our velar ridge. That is very near to or very close to our soft palate. So and three sounds are there. Mango. No. Then sing. English. This sound is there. The category of consonant is lateral sound, lateral consonant. Now here, in the production of lateral consonant, there is a partial closure of air passage because of our tongue. The tongue comes at the center and blocks the air passage to pass through our oral cavity without facing any obstruction. So there is a closure of air passage because of our tongue, but there is some opening through both the sides of our tongue, and that let the air to pass through. So there is a partial closure, and the air is released by the side of our tongue. That is what happens when we produce a lateral sound, a lateral consonant. And in the production of lateral sound, what do we notice? It is a voiced sound because of our vocal cords, the status of our vocal cords. Semi-vowels. Finally, we have semi-vowels, or you may say approximate. They are three in number. Va, va, then you have r and y. Va, r, u, va, 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 r and y. So these three sounds are put together, clubbed together under the category of semi-vowels or approximate. About semi-vowels, it is said that they are produced as vowels but function as consonants. And one thing more that characterizes all these semi-vowels or approximate is that they are frictionless continuants. Right? So they are they possess these characteristics. Now, first one is bilabial semi-vowel. Va. So in the production of this bilabial semi-vowel, our lips get rounded. Our lips get rounded. So we have va, 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 get rounded. And this is how we produce va sound. Next is bilabial. By bilabial we mean both our lips take part in it. Lower lip and the upper lip. Two. Bi means two and labial means lips. So both our lips take part and they produce this sound wherein our lips get rounded. This is bilabial, and the bilabial, all these sounds, all the sounds which are characterized under this category, all of them are voice sound. voice sound, whether it's wa, r, ya. Now, post-alveolar. In the production of post-alveolar, we notice it is frictionless continuant, wherein tongue goes up and reaches to the area just behind our alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. Just behind the alveolar ridge of our oral cavity. So, so this is post-alveolar. And finally, we have palatal. Palatal. In the production of palatal semivowel, ya. Now, back of our tongue goes up and goes very nearer to the hard palate, and we produce, in doing so, when our tongue goes up and reaches as far as to the hard palate, there occurs a sound, and that sound is grouped under palatal semivowel or approximant. Now, ya. If any example that we need to know, ya, Y-E-A-R. How do we pronounce? We pronounce it as ya. So this is all about consonant